What kind of book do I want to write? Because just because people want a book doesn't mean I need to just write any old book. I've got to put my heart and soul into this. And so what is it that I think that I can add value that's missing out there in the workplace and in the world?
Anita Henderson here, the author's midwife with Write Your Life. Super excited to be joined by Stephanie Chung, global powerhouse speaker, former aviation C-suite executive, leadership consultant, and now brand new #1 international selling author of the book, Ally Leadership, How to Lead People Who Are Not Like You.
You know, that I always tell people writing a book was the hardest thing I've ever done.
I've heard this before from other clients. Why do you say that?
When you go to write the book to share with others how to do it, then you have to go way back, right? It takes time, it takes energy, it takes a different thought process, and it really takes you digging deep and being incredibly vulnerable so that you can serve other people.
The impetus for you even starting this book was your speakers bureau.
Yes.
They're like, Stephanie, we can book you more and get you paid more if you just had a book.
Yeah.
Talk about that motivation and whether you resisted for how long and how that evolved.
Shout out to Washington Speakers Bureau. People were asking, okay, this is great. We booked Stephanie. We loved her. Does she have a book? So my bureau was having to keep saying, no, she doesn't have a book. So they're like, you need to write a book, because people are asking. Once they hear you speak, they love it, but then there's nothing. And so a book gives them something else. So that really was the reason why I wrote the book.
Tell me what it was like to dig deep for some of those stories, some of the difficult ones to tell that really supported the lessons you're teaching in this book, and then some of the ones that really caused you to be vulnerable.
I'm a professional speaker, so storytelling is what we do. But when you tell a story on stage, it's very different than telling a story in a book. On the book side, what I found, and you may recall some of the conversations early on where you're like telling me, okay, but what was the weather like when you stepped out of that hotel? And I'm like, in a speech, I wouldn't necessarily say that. But when you're writing the book, you're telling these stories and you're getting into a lot of intricate detail because you don't want to leave your readers behind. And that detail can be the emotion. Right. So now you're going into how you felt and why you felt that way. But we all know that the brain is visual. And so to try to teach something that's going to stick, you really have to surround it with stories. That's how people are going to get it, resonate with it, and then remember it, more importantly.
Well, you did great with all the stories. I was like, you nailed it. And a lot of that came from the structure that we created very early on in VIP Day. Talk about what it felt like just to sort of step on the stage at VIP Day and really explore what you actually wanted to cover in this book.
My particular book is geared towards leaders. And so when you think about leaders in general, we tend to think very strategically. We may have a million thoughts going on in our head, but there's no way that we're going to be able to impart those thoughts to people if it's not in some type of order so that people can be with you throughout the journey. So I loved VIP Day because you were instrumental in taking all the gazillion thoughts I had floating around in my head, putting it down, giving it some structure. I think the biggest benefit that I would tell anybody is it's really important, if you're going to use a book coach, to have a book coach that actually gets you. So when I'm having a moment of just like, you know what, I'm not sure, or maybe the story doesn't make sense, or am I actually a writer? Like all those doubts, everybody listening, you will have those moments. I don't care how well of a writer you are. I'm a speaker, but to sit there and write pen to paper was not something I thought was my strong point. Now I have a new attitude about it. And I attribute that to just you being there and coaching me the way that I needed to be coached. You were along for the ride and you never made me feel bad or frustrated or anything like that. You were always 100% of the time a super cheerleader, which was great.
Please give some advice to those women who are on par with you about why having your own book, owning your own narrative is so critical today.
I want everybody just to know you've got a message that deserves to be out. And I promise you there's somebody who really desperately needs to hear your particular viewpoint on certain things. And that's why you really write the book.
Perfect. Stephanie Chung, thank you very much for sharing